For decades, Denise Jackson stayed in the background. She was the one who pawned her jewelry so Alan could record demos. She was the one who slipped his tape to Glen Campbell in an airport. She was the one who found hotel receipts in 1995 that changed everything. But on one night in April 2025, Alan pulled her out of the shadows and onto the stage. His voice broke, the crowd went quiet, and for 4 minutes, 20,000 people gave her a standing ovation. What happened between them to lead to this moment? The real story goes back further than anyone expected. Denise Jackson's early life moved with a quiet kind of strength that kept building as she grew. She was born Denise McCormick in 1958 in Newnan, Georgia. And even as a young girl, she carried herself with a steady mix of ambition and responsibility. At Newnan High School, she became a top student and a cheerleader, and she shined on the tennis court too. But what stood out even more was the way she worked part-time jobs to help her family. Money was tight, yet she kept showing up, studying hard after long shifts, pushing herself toward something better. Then, one afternoon in 1974, during a school pep rally, everything shifted. She was just 16 and walking through a hallway when she crossed paths with Alan Jackson. The connection was instant, even though she kept her focus on her books, while he drifted deeper into guitar music. Their stories started to move together without either of them trying. After graduating with honors in 1976, Denise surprised everyone by turning down college scholarships. She stepped straight into a job at Delta Airlines as a ticket agent in Atlanta. Every day she faced stressed travelers and heated complaints, and she learned how to calm people with patience and clear words. Those skills stayed with her. By 1978, she earned a promotion to flight attendant and began flying international routes. Her world opened quickly. She found herself in busy airports across the ocean, sometimes brushing shoulders with celebrities. During a layover in 1985, she spotted Glen Campbell in an airport lounge. She recognized the moment, felt a spark of possibility, and quietly slipped Alan's demo tape to Campbell's manager. She had no experience in the music world. She only had instinct and hope, and that small act would later be remembered as a turning point in Alan's career. Her journey from Newnan High School to international flights held more layers than people noticed. She was not only the cheerleader and tennis player her classmates saw, she was the teenager who worked evenings to help her family. She was the honors student who met Alan Jackson in a hallway and felt something she couldn't explain. After graduation, she chose work over college because she believed she could build her life step by step. Delta Airlines became her training ground, and dealing with demanding travelers showed her how to stay steady when everything felt chaotic. As a flight attendant, she flew routes like New York to London, and during those years, she crossed paths with Glen Campbell more than once. That bold moment in 1985, when she slipped Alan's demo tape into the right hands, didn't look dramatic from the outside, yet it changed the direction of their lives. It showed the quiet courage she carried and revealed how deeply she believed in Alan's talent long before the world noticed him. Denise's early life stayed humble, no matter how many opportunities came her way. She balanced books, sports, work, and responsibility with a calm that made people trust her. Meeting Alan during that 1974 pep rally carried more meaning than either one realized. It became the beginning of a partnership that would later reshape both of their futures. After her 1976 graduation, she stepped into Delta Airlines, first handling customer complaints, then flying internationally by 1978. Her work exposed her to larger worlds and famous names, including Glen Campbell, whose presence in that airport lounge in 1985 pulled her toward a brave choice. She passed Alan's tape to Campbell's manager without hesitation. That simple action became a seed that would later bloom into one of country music's great careers. Denise's story is a reminder that small decisions made with courage can open doors that once felt impossible. Her life moved into a new chapter when she married Alan Jackson on December 15, 1979, in a small church in Newnan, with only about 50 guests watching. They were young, just 21, carrying big dreams and very little money. She set aside her own dream of being a flight attendant so Alan's band, Dixie Steel, could have her full support. He played bars and small venues for about $50 a night, and she stood behind him even when the nights felt long and the pay felt too small. Alan worked whatever jobs he could find. Some days he sold cars. Some days he built houses. They were trying to survive more than anything else, and Denise's early sacrifices became the quiet backbone of their new life together. In 1980, they moved to Nashville and stepped into a world that was harder than they expected. Their apartment was small and far from comfortable. Denise went back to flying so her income could help cover rent. Alan took jobs wherever he could, working as a forklift operator at Kmart and taking shifts at a shoe repair shop. Every spare moment he auditioned or performed, and almost every time he heard no. It felt endless, but Denise's steady paycheck kept them afloat, and her belief in him kept him writing. Nashville tested them every day, yet they stayed close to each other and to their dream. In 1981, their first daughter, Maddie Denise, was born during a heavy Nashville snowstorm. Denise was juggling night flights and motherhood at the same time. She would come home exhausted, drop her bags, and go straight to caring for her newborn. Alan kept auditioning and performing in every room that would have him, and biographies claim he faced more than 200 unsuccessful auditions. The strain was real, but they kept moving together. The responsibility of a newborn pushed Alan even harder. Denise's steady presence held their family in place. By 1983, Alan wrote his first song, Tennessee Whiskey, at their kitchen table. Denise often typed his lyrics on a manual typewriter because she had the secretarial skills he lacked. She organized his notes, kept his papers together, and became his unofficial manager in ways no one saw. She handled the details so Alan could focus on songwriting. That song became an early sign of the writer he was becoming, and her hands were part of its creation. Everything changed in 1985 when Denise spotted Glen Campbell at the Atlanta airport. She approached him with quiet confidence, explained that her husband was an aspiring singer, and asked for guidance. Campbell listened and then handed her the business card of his publishing manager, Marty Gamblin. Within 2 weeks, Alan was sitting in Gamblin's office receiving a $100 a week songwriting offer. It was a small salary, but it was also the door they had been waiting for. Denise's courage in that moment became the spark that pushed Alan fully into Nashville's music world. In 1986, Alan found a mailroom job at the Nashville network. The pay was barely enough, but it kept them moving. Denise kept flying out of Atlanta and traveling back and forth to Nashville while pregnant with their second daughter, Alexandra. She carried demo tapes in her bag and delivered them to executives whenever she had a chance. Her determination paid off. Campbell's publishing company soon signed Alan and put him on the path he had dreamed of for years. Denise's effort, especially during pregnancy and financial strain, became one of the quiet engines driving Alan's rise. His debut album arrived in 1989. Don't Rock the Jukebox should have marked a fresh start, but his first single, Blue-Blooded Woman, stalled at number 45. Arista Records dropped him. It felt like everything was falling apart again. Denise stepped in and urged him to switch producers and re-record his demos. He trusted her. Soon the title track became a #1 hit, and momentum returned. Her guidance saved a career that might have ended right there. Alexandra was born in 1986, just as their finances were stretched thin. They had no money for recording sessions. Denise pawned her jewelry for $500 so Alan could record new demos in their basement studio. Those demos convinced Arista to give him another chance and ultimately led to the success of his debut album. Her sacrifice shined through everything that happened afterward. Everything accelerated when Here in the Real World released in February 1990 and sold more than 2 million copies. Denise quit flying permanently and became Alan's full-time manager. She booked over 100 club shows by herself through cold calls and relentless effort. She handled logistics and schedules so Alan could stay focused on songwriting and performing. Her work behind the scenes shaped the path the world would later see on stage. Denise Jackson stepped into Alan Jackson's rise long before most people even knew her name, and the timing almost felt unreal. When his 1992 album, A Lot About Livin', exploded with 3 #1 singles, and Chattahoochee stayed at the top for 4 straight weeks, selling more than 5 million copies in the United States alone, she was right there holding everything together. By 1997, his album sales had already crossed 50 million worldwide, turning him into a global star, while Denise quietly gave birth to their 3rd daughter, Dani, and tried to keep their home steady. She even wrote a small family cookbook during that period, something she never published but kept close, almost like a reminder that normal life still mattered in the middle of constant touring, cameras, and pressure. Her strength kept their world balanced, even as small cracks began to spread in places no one else could see. Those cracks widened in a way she never imagined. Alan's infidelity began to surface in 1994 and 1995, and everything shifted during their Christmas homecoming in 1995 when Denise found hotel receipts that told the story he hadn't confessed. The shock landed hard, especially since it came just months after he won the CMA Entertainer of the Year award in 1994. That trophy should have marked a high point for their family, yet it instead became the start of a quiet storm. Denise carried the truth alone for months. She stayed silent in public, kept up appearances, and tried to survive the mix of betrayal and loneliness while Alan continued touring and coming home later than usual. She revealed everything years later in her 2007 memoir, It's All About Him, describing how close their marriage came to breaking. The scandal was a turning point, exposing the hidden cost of fame and forcing her to face pain she never thought would belong to her. During those same years, she tried to build a life of her own. In 1995, she created a small event planning business in Nashville, organizing charity galas that brought in up to 500 guests. While Alan was on the road, she decorated tables, coordinated musicians, and filled halls with warmth, all while holding back tears from nights when he came home late, without answers. The galas raised money for local causes, but she felt the weight of everything pressing down behind the scenes. Running the business helped her feel useful and grounded. Yet the emotional chaos of Alan's affairs and the demands of raising 3 daughters made it almost impossible to keep going. That short season became her attempt to reclaim her identity, even as her marriage reached its breaking point. By 1996, the pressure was too much. Denise secretly drafted divorce papers and spent 6 months attending marriage counseling alone. She rejected the gifts Alan tried to offer, gifts paid for by the royalties of midnight in Montgomery, because they felt hollow to her. The separation was painful and heavy, and people around them noticed the distance even if they didn't know the details. Still, Denise kept showing up for her daughters and leaned into her faith. Slowly, counseling helped her see a path that didn't end with divorce. She wanted to believe their marriage could still be saved, and that small hope carried her through a year when everything felt like it could fall apart at any moment. Then something unexpected happened. In 1997, during their separation, Alan sat at their kitchen table and played her a song he had written. It was Remember When. The lyrics walked through their early love, the birth of their daughters, and the pain that had nearly destroyed them. Denise listened, and the song reached a place nothing else had touched. It became a #1 hit later, but in that moment, it was simply the bridge that helped her forgive him. Their reconciliation became a quiet but powerful moment, one that fans later admired, but Denise felt with every part of her heart. More storms came soon after. In early 1998, she publicly announced their separation just weeks after Christmas, 1997, a move that sent tabloids into a frenzy. She moved their 3 daughters to a farmhouse in Georgia, hoping for peace while she tried to gather herself. During those 4 months apart, she began writing her memoir as a way to process everything she felt, admitting later that she had discovered more details about Alan's infidelity and struggled with the heavy blow of betrayal. That time alone forced her to confront who she was outside of being the wife of a country star. The tension grew even higher that year when Alan's song "Who's Cheatin' Who" reached #1. Fans noticed the timing, and Denise discovered love letters from a groupie hidden in his tour bus. Instead of staying silent, she sent a faxed note directly to the stage during one of his concerts. It shocked everyone around them and pushed Alan to acknowledge what had happened. The confrontation was dramatic but necessary, and it pushed both of them toward counseling again, this time with more honesty than before. During the separation, Denise found something she didn't expect. By mid-1998, she was speaking at churches across the South, turning her pain into a message of faith and resilience. She booked more than 20 events and shared her story with women who were carrying similar wounds. She later said that sharing those experiences gave her the courage to forgive Alan again and rebuild their life. Her shift from country star's wife to Christian speaker happened quickly, yet it felt natural to her because she was finally finding her voice. The breakthrough came in January 1999 when Alan admitted in counseling that he believed they might be better off apart. Hearing that almost broke her, but she leaned on her faith again and chose forgiveness over separation. They renewed their vows in private, trying to rebuild trust step by step. The reconciliation became the beginning of a different kind of marriage, one shaped by honesty instead of dependency. In 2000, Alan released the album Freight Train and dedicated it to Denise. The liner notes, ghost-written by her, shared parts of their 18-year journey and revealed how emotional dependency had nearly ruined their relationship. Her words made the album deeply personal, showing fans a marriage that survived storms most never saw. The next year brought a moment of national grief. On November 7, 2001, at the CMA Awards, Alan performed "Where Were You" for the first time, a song he wrote overnight after waking at 3 a.m. on October 28. Denise watched backstage with their daughters while the audience fell silent. The song helped the country process the weight of 9/11 and won major awards at the 2002 CMAs, ACMs, and even brought home a Grammy. Denise's quiet presence during that time showed her strength again, standing by Alan when he carried the grief of millions. But life had another hidden struggle waiting. In 2011, Alan was diagnosed with Charcot-Marie tooth disease, a hereditary disorder that weakens nerves and affects balance. For years, he performed while secretly dealing with muscle weakness and falls on stage. He kept it private until 2021, when he finally explained everything in an interview with Jenna Bush Hager. Even with a condition that has no cure, he kept touring and singing, proving how much he loved the work that shaped his life. The weight of all this took a toll on Denise, too. After the trauma of 9/11 and Alan's emotional tribute, she fell into depression in 2002. She turned that pain into something meaningful by creating the Denise Jackson Family Foundation, which donated more than $1 million to Georgia schools. She focused on education and helped students and teachers with resources they desperately needed. Denise Jackson's life shifted in a way she never expected in 2010, and it happened during what should have been a simple celebration of her wedding anniversary in Florida. She went in for a routine colonoscopy, something she didn't think twice about because she ate well, exercised, and lived the kind of lifestyle people trust to keep them safe. Yet the doctors found a small growth that looked harmless until the biopsy came back and revealed squamous cell carcinoma, a rare form of colorectal cancer. The news stunned her. It felt unreal, almost like someone else's story. Yet she had to face it head-on. Soon she began 30 days of radiation, along with 2 intense 4-day rounds of chemotherapy. The treatments drained her, physically and emotionally, but she kept going while Alan canceled 12 shows to take care of her at home. They chose to keep everything private, away from fans and the media, and moved quietly through months of fear and hope until she was finally declared cancer-free by the end of 2010. The experience changed her understanding of life and pushed her deeper into faith and a desire to help others through their own storms. While Denise found strength again, Alan was hiding a struggle of his own. For more than a decade, he kept his Charcot-Marie Tooth diagnosis to himself, a hereditary neurological disorder he inherited from his father. It caused muscle weakness and balance problems that slowly worsened, yet he tried to mask it for years. He fell on stage 5 times before finally revealing the truth in 2021 during a Today Show interview. Each fall came with whispers and confusion, but in reality he was fighting a loss of balance he couldn't control. He performed through discomfort and fear, doing everything he could to keep fans from worrying. Yet by 2021, even standing at a microphone felt uncomfortable. His silence had been meant to protect the people he loved, but the toll it took on him stayed with him for years. The challenges didn't stop there. After 21 years with Arista Nashville, Alan split from the label in January 2011. That shift came with tension, contract issues, and legal battles that stretched far beyond anything Denise expected to handle. She stepped into the chaos with determination, taking on $5 million worth of negotiations and lawsuits. Instead of being only a supportive spouse, she became Alan's advocate and business partner, guiding him through a maze that could have stalled his career. Her efforts helped him regain independence, launch his own label, and take full control over his creative and financial future. At home, life was complicated as well. In 2012, their eldest daughter Maddie eloped without warning, leaving the family shocked by the surprise ceremony. A year later, Alexandra drew national attention when her breakup tweet went viral, bringing paparazzi straight into her life. That same year, she faced charges for underage drinking and resisting arrest after a police traffic stop. Each moment reminded the family that growing up under a spotlight can feel like standing on glass, with every move watched and judged. Still, through the turmoil, the daughters kept finding their identities and pushing toward their own paths. Then came a loss that pulled the entire family closer together. On January 7, 2017, Alan's mother, Mama Ruth Jackson, passed away at home in Newnan, Georgia, at age 86. Her death left a deep ache in Alan, who wept on stage during a tribute concert. Denise helped steady the moment by leading a spontaneous gospel sing-along, giving the audience a way to honor a woman who had shaped so much of Alan's heart and music. Mama Ruth's presence had always been strong, appearing at events for decades and inspiring many of his songs. Her passing closed a chapter, but left behind a legacy that lived through every note he sang. Years later, in April 2025 at the Two Step In Festival in Texas, Alan let the world witness a moment that felt like a soft celebration of everything they had survived together. Denise turned 67 that day, and Alan surprised her by bringing her on stage during the rehearsal for Remember When, a song he had written for her. During the festival, he guided her into a slow dance that made the crowd erupt into cheers. It wasn't just a birthday gesture. It marked their farewell to years spent on the road, as Alan's last call tour was drawing to a close. Fans knew Denise had walked through cancer, and Alan through CMT, so the moment felt like a quiet victory and a public love letter. Videos spread across social media within minutes, capturing her rare appearance beside him and the way the audience rose to honor her. The farewell tour carried even more weight because in 2022, Alan announced it officially, explaining that his CMT made long tours harder and riskier. For every ticket sold, $1 went to the CMT Research Foundation, matched by an additional $2 from a donor. By the time the tour wrapped, more than $2.25 million had been raised. And while Alan shared his story on stage, Denise opened up in her own way. She launched a health blog series focused on mobility and cancer recovery, which soon reached over 1 million readers. Her honesty gave comfort to people who felt unseen in their own battles. She talked about her cancer fight, Alan's diagnosis, and daily reminders that life can shift at any moment. Her voice became a guide for those facing their own challenges. Still, Alan's struggles were visible throughout the tour. At a 2024 show in Atlanta, he stumbled during the opening song but caught himself on the microphone stand. The crowd held its breath before cheering him on. In 2025, during a Dallas concert, he stumbled twice more. After each slip, he whispered one more for the road to Denise, a quiet promise tied to the tour's title. These clips spread across social media and stirred emotional reactions everywhere. Fans saw how hard he fought to keep performing and how deeply he cared about finishing strong. His honesty later helped many understand the real battle behind his steps. During this same period, Denise reached a quiet peak of her own. She wrote an unpublished memoir called The Road Home: From Cancer to Comeback, a story outlining her path from illness to advocacy. She shared parts of it at more than 50 women's conferences, where her talks often filled rooms to capacity. She spoke with raw honesty about forgiving Alan after past infidelity, surviving cancer, and rebuilding her sense of purpose. Her words brought comfort and clarity to thousands who saw their own reflections in her stories. Even as the tour thrived, danger found its way in. By 2025, the Last Call tour grossed more than $50 million and became one of the biggest farewell tours in country music. But at a Dallas show that April, a stalker who had threatened Denise for months pushed past security and approached the stage during Remember When. The team acted quickly, and the stalker was arrested, but the moment shook everyone. Fans surrounding Denise formed a protective circle, showing a kind of love that carried her through the shock. The story spread, reminding everyone that fame always has shadows. With all of this surrounding them, April 5th, 2025 became an unforgettable night. It was the same festival where Alan had planned a secret birthday dance. Denise waited in the shadows for 15 seconds, while Alan paused the performance of Remember When and reached out for her. When she stepped into the light, the crowd fell silent, as if the air itself had paused. They swayed together for 90 seconds, moved like they were holding 4 decades of life between them. Alan whispered happy birthday and kissed her forehead before she slipped away from the spotlight again. The crowd of 20,000 rose for a 4-minute standing ovation. Videos flooded the internet within hours. Many said it was the most genuine moment they had seen in country music. At the exact 32-minute mark of that performance, Alan reached the 3rd verse of the song. His voice cracked, he paused, and he looked toward the side of the stage with his hand out. That single gesture carried years of memories, including their reconciliation in 1997, when they had slow danced at a private party and rebuilt their marriage after an 18-month separation. The 2025 moment reflected that memory almost perfectly, and fans immediately felt the parallel. It was as if the years folded together in front of them. Backstage after the show, emotions poured out. Their daughters, Maddie, Ali, and Danny, rushed to Denise with hugs, calling it the best birthday ever. Alan broke down and needed help to steady himself as he tried to take in what had just happened. He told his family he only wanted Denise to know how much he loved her. The footage leaked later and deepened the public's connection to the story. During these same years, Denise shaped her own legacy. After Alan fully retired from touring in June 2025, she launched a nonprofit with the CMT Research Foundation that raised $2 million in its first year. The foundation funded 24 projects, and one even led to a $1 billion acquisition by Novartis. Her leadership brought national attention to CMT and helped drive new research paths. She went from standing beside a country star to leading one of the most respected patient-driven organizations in the country. More than 400 researchers and clinicians attended the 2025 convention she helped organize, proving how far her influence had spread. Her strength had shown up long before that, though. In 2020, when Alan reached a devastating low point after his CMT diagnosis, he contemplated suicide. Denise played him a gospel song he had recorded in 2017 called "Are You Washed in the Blood?" The lyrics reached him when nothing else could. He later said that moment saved his life and pulled him back toward faith and family.